are running the car too low. The Mantai Porsche safety car brings them around. It's a pace car at the moment. There'll be a safety car if it comes back. It's beautiful. That looks like Carmine red actually as it pulls into the pit lane. And now it's go. And from the inside, Louis Delatraz got the jump there in the Porsche and heads down to the first corner. Now that will be looked at. The green flag was out. Did the Acura cross on? Already we've got a problem. The 04 crowd strike by APR car. Tower Motorsport involved in there as well, but picks its way through. Looks like, and there's been a second incident as well on the infield at turn 2. Carnage in the LMP2 field. 20 seconds later, here comes the GT field, and they're having to pick their way through this issue down on the apron there. And there's already 3, 4, 5 cars moving slowly after impact at turn 1 and 2. It looked like Renger van der Zande in the red, white, and black number 93 did get the start. Louis Delatraz was looking very, very racy indeed, but dropped back into line. But the talking point there, Ryan Marine, is the LMP2 carnage.
At least 4 cars were involved, and I think all 4 were about to pull away and rejoin. Not too much worse for the wear, however. There was a secondary contact in that initial incident, and at least 2 picked up heavy damage.
And Peter Mackay, it looks like the Porsche has indeed worked its way through to the front of the field. 2 red and white cars in the sunshine, but there is damage and debris and bits of carbon fibre everywhere, and no surprise then, we've not even done a full lap on the 64th running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and we're under yellow.
And of course, because there's a new rule for this year, within the first 30 minutes, the pits do not open. So nobody can come in and top off fuel until that 30-minute period has elapsed. So hopefully this will be a fairly short caution period. But you just despair, don't you? It's a 24-hour race. Getting involved in a kind of total... it was the TDS number 11 got it all wrong, spun, and that just kicked off a Jenga collapse of LMP2s into turn 1. Era Motorsport in there as well, a lot of damage at the start after all the prep.
Our Porsche keys to the race was stay out of trouble early on, and clearly the drivers weren't listening to us on the countdown to
Luca gets
green.
drilled from the back.
Toby Luca, absolutely not his problem. He was an innocent bystander there, Ryan.
He was, definitely. The second car that went for a spin, that was the BMW of Dries Vanthoor that spun in front of the remaining LMP2 field, rolled back across the track and into the grass, and I think avoided any further contact. That looks like a spin all on his own. Very fortunate to avoid being collected, and in some respects maybe benefited from the fact that so many of the LMP2s were stopped, and he only had to dodge a couple of bullets rather than the full field.
Oh. And coming in, the car that should have been on pole position, Jack Aitken, had his windscreen full of sideways 24 BMW and Dries Vanthoor. The TDS, the Shopify TDS number 11 with the green and dark blue colours on. I am not an engineer, Peter Mackay, but I think that needs a new nose.
Big problems for former winners, Era Motorsport, Naveen Rao having to limp the number 18 machine back to the paddock, and I would think, well, back to the pits, and we'll see if they can get any damage repaired.
Time to go down to the pit lane, and the damaged TDS number 11 has pulled up right with Duncan Vincent.
Yeah, you said it, John, that's going to need a new nose, and that's far too early in this 24-hour race to be going through this kind of damage. The worry is, what has it impacted behind that? Has it altered the brake ducts? Has it knocked the toe out? The team having a quick look, over comes the new nose, nothing left on the right-hand side of that front nose, which is a great shame. They can repair them, but I think that one's beyond repair. Get this nose on, and I'll make sure everything else is good, and they should be good to go. But what a way to start the year for you. What a disastrous start to the Rolex 24, as down comes the 18 and the 2, who are also caught up in that melee.
And as the Era Motorsport LMP2 car slides into its box in front of me, the front left showing the battle scars from the opening lap, John, but it's not as bad as initially maybe I thought it would have been. What's more significant is the fact that the rear wing has come completely detached from the anchor points that protrude from the body. So it's not just going to be a front nose change, it will be a rear wing change. Slightly further down, I do see the United car in pit lane as well. Dunk, what do you see?
Yeah, United looks a little bit more easy going, shall we say. It's a tyre change they're going through. Or having said that, through come the chocks, and that's going to rotate this car. Now, is there something about this car that we don't know that they want to go somewhere else on? Time will tell just now. The team waiting for some instructions from over the wall, but they have these little chocks and almost dollies that they can put round the air jacks, which is nice and easy to manoeuvre the car. So in-slide those. Whether they're just going to take the time on this one, John, but it's not a good way to start the 24.
In front of me, the Era Motorsports crew have finished changing the front nose of the car, but they are hard at work on the rear, John. They've taken the clip off and are now actually wrenching a little bit. So I'm not sure if the contacts actually push something in. I'm stood at the front. I can't quite see what the issue is at the rear, but this is a lengthy repair that they're working through right now. And there's one more LMP2 car, John, that's trickling down. It's finally the CrowdStrike by APR 04 LMP2, that purple and pink sort of one that's going to slide in front of me. And as they start to put the fuel in, they will also take a look at the rear clip of the car here, John. I'll get a word to you when I can.
Yeah, unfortunately, the number 2 United Autosports has been pushed behind the pit wall on the dollies. That will go back to the garage for some more extensive repair work. And it didn't look as bad as the TDS, but it's maybe more mechanical underneath the bodywork, John.
The white rose of Yorkshire proudly on the nose of the number 2 Orica from United Autosport, and this is another disaster at Daytona for United. They didn't have the result that they wanted here this year, last year, Ryan, and it started even worse.
Well, they do have 2 bullets in the chamber. That's good news. Dan Goldberg, who was put to the back of the LMP2 class for missing the recon lap earlier or being late for it, was able to get through the melee and has made his way forward. But very bad luck for the 2. I think in total 5 LMP2 cars were involved. Toby Lutka in the 11, Naveen Rao in the 18, Phil Thayer in the 2, George Kurtz, who has come to the pit lane, and I think Francois Perotto also got a piece of it, but that's the one of the 5 that has not come into the pit, so maybe Francois able to get away with that. However, he was caught up to some degree.
Yeah, United actually eventually took the victory here, but not on the road last year. If you remember, it took the DQ of the Tower car. Arjuna, update us on that end of the pit lane before we go back to Greg.
Bit of damage on the left rear, and they've replaced the tolling, John. It's a very quick job as well. Got to give full credit to the crew here at CrowdStrike by APR. They'll put that rear deck back onto the car and send it back out. Oh, stressful opening lap, but there's still 23 hours left to go.
And breathe, everybody, and breathe. On Sirius XM 206 around the circuit on 107.9 FM, and of course on IMSA Radio RS2, part of the Radio Show Limited network of audio and visual channels. We're coming back to green, and it will be Felipe Nasser who comes back to green. He did get around Renger van der Zande. Louis Delatraz for Cadillac in 3rd, ahead of Porsche Penske Motorsports, Kevin Estre in 4th, Tom Blomqvist in 5th, and the top 6 made up by Philippe Albuquerque. They'll start line astern. The LMP2 field has been decimated. We'll go through that in a moment as we go back to green flag racing with 23 hours 51 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, down towards the first corner. Good jump away by Felipe Nasser and Porsche side by side. His teammate tries around the outside. Kevin Estre on Louis Delatraz gets it done. Kevin has come straight through there. They were talking down their potential performance levels at Porsche Penske Motorsport earlier in the week, but they're showing well early on here, Peter Mackay.
That they are, yeah. Kevin Estre looking strong, trying to put pressure now on Renger van der Zande as they come up towards the western horseshoe as his teammate Felipe Nasser tries to pull away a couple of car lengths. Also, the number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac of Jack Aitken, who did qualify the car on pole but was sent to the back because of a technical infraction on the car in post-qualifying tech, and is making some moves forward.
He's picked up 2 spots just since that restart. Got around the Valkyrie right away and picked up another spot as well now the front runners have some traffic to contend with. George Kurtz just got out of the pit lane right before the restart, and now his stricken LMP2 is right there in the thick of the front-running GTP cars. He'll be fighting just to stay on the lead lap in LMP2, which he is for the moment, but that will be coming under threat here before long.
Well, that's stressful for George Kurtz as well, because the whole GTP field are on top of him and trying to still get the car up to temperature, trying to get over trying to calm down after that first lap incident, and you've got all of the best drivers in the world and the fastest prototypes in the world rushing past you. Put yourself in George Kurtz's shoes right now. That is not easy.
It's A-All Racing and Gould Spike feature high that leads LMP2 from Ben Keating and Brian Hurd at Autosport in second. Then the two into Europol, asymmetric green and yellow cars, the 43 from the 343. Then Chris Cumming from Pratt Miller Motorsport, Dan Goldberg in 6th, John Field in 7th, John Ferrano for Tower in 8th, somehow managed to avoid what was going on in front of him. It's Ford. No, it's not. I was about to say it was Ford leading in GTD Pro, but in fact it's the Alexander Sims Corvette Racing by Pratt Miller number 3, then Maro Engel for 75 Express, then Frederick Burbage, then Nicky Katzberg for